Hello, hello, hello. Who's swimming in the water in Miami today? I'm glad you asked because it's time for another episode of the Big D podcast. Before I bring in Alex to talk about his Miami Dolphins, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. We can see not only this video, but all my videos. Sweet 16 still in the night, so check out my picks there. Also, check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. So, as you can see by Alex's shirt on, one of us is happy today. Oh no. Ah! Because his Miami Dolphins have added maybe the NFL's fastest wide receiver in Tyreek Hill. So joining us to talk about Cheetah and his Miami Dolphins is Alex. Alex, have your Miami Dolphins gotten faster or what?
Yeah, that's an understatement, Dylan. It's a great day to be a Miami Dolphins fan. It's a great day in South Florida. It's a great week. Oh my gosh, this is the most excited I've been for Miami Dolphins football season my entire life, Dylan.
What? What?
I mean, when else would I have been more excited than going into this season? I mean, we finally seems like we've made some legitimate work on the offensive line. We've got one of the top 5 at the very least receiver in the NFL to pair with Jaylen Waddle. I mean, it's got to be the most explosive receiver room in the NFL, and I don't even think it's really close.
So, in case you were sleeping or celebrating your spring break yesterday, the Miami Dolphins acquired Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs for a 2022, let me see if I got this right, first rounder, 2022 second rounder, a fourth rounder, and then 2023 fourth and sixth rounder. Does that sound about right? Did I miss anything?
I think you nailed it, Dylan. 5 picks. And honestly.
Oh, and by the way, Tyreek Hill also got a fat new contract.
Yep.
Which will make him, I think, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history.
All of that sounds a little daunting, but at the end of the day, man, I think it's a great trade. I mean, it's a great trade for the Kansas City Chiefs to be able to get 5 draft picks for a non-quarterback player is a haul in itself. I mean, obviously, yes, you're losing one of the centerpieces of your offense. Well, I mean, there's plenty of centerpieces of the Kansas City offense, but he was definitely a big name over there. But you're getting 5 picks. You're going to be able to really dominate. You ideally, if you're a Chiefs fan, really be able to dominate the next 2 drafts coming up with the intel or the income of picks you've received. And then looking at the Miami Dolphins, I mean, that first round pick is practically a second rounder at the 29th overall spot. The second round pick, I mean, you really just got to look at the first 2 picks out of that. The first and second round picks are the main value. And then everything else is day 3 guys. I mean, 4th round, there's obviously you're going to be able to find some hits in the 4th round, but I don't necessarily trust the Miami Dolphins brass super wholeheartedly when it comes to the late draft pick areas. So, I mean, you're giving a bunch of day 3 guys to the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're getting one of the most electric players in the NFL. I think it's a good trade for both sides. Obviously, the Chiefs couldn't get a long-term deal worked out with Tyreek Hill. It was time to move on. And man, when I saw Adam Schefter tweet that it was between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, I knew Cheetah was coming to Miami, man.
When I heard one of my friends at Jeff Blue Park yesterday say Tyreek Hill was coming to Miami, I'm like, you all kidding me. And I mean, hearing what the Jets and Dolphins offered it feels like night and day, because the Jet package didn't even compare to Miami. I mean, the Jets offered, trying to think what it was like.
I know it was 2 second round picks. Maybe I think a couple 4th rounders. They didn't even have a 1st round pick in there.
And the Jets have 2 1st round picks this year. One at number 2. I think number one of the top 5, and then the Seattle pick. But be honest, the Dolphins stole Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely.
I think Kansas City panic and saw, you know what, we've got to get value for him, a la what Green Bay did for Devontae Adams. I feel like this is Devontae Adams, just South Florida edition.
Yeah.
Uh,
No.
but I feel like Tyreek Hill just adds an element to his speed that you can't coach because who can cover the fastest receiver in football? I mean, there are ways you can cover Cooper Kupp, well, sort of cover Cooper Kupp, but
Yeah.
you can't coach speed.
No.
I mean, we all, I mean, nobody could outrun Usain Bolt for a better part of a decade, and right now, nobody can outrun Tyreek Hill in a 40-yard dash.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. It really is. And just touching back on what you said, you think the Dolphins got Tyreek for a steal. I mean, the best part about that, what makes me the absolute happiest about that trade is, yes, we gave up a first round pick, but it's this year's first round pick. It's the 29th overall pick. You are not going to be able to draft a player even close, I'm sorry, than Tyreek Hill at the 29th pick. I don't see it coming. I don't see it happening. And then I saw you sticking two fingers up, the Miami Dolphins still have 2 first rounders next year. I mean, it's just the absolute dream scenario. You get an absolute monster to add to your already improved and upgraded Miami Dolphins offense. And we're talking about speed. That's all you got to talk about. I mean, who are you going to cover? You've got Tyreek Hill going deep, or make a deep slant across the middle. You've got Jaylen Waddle in the slot. You've got Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmunds out of the backfield. A name to watch this year, especially Lynn Bowden Jr. The man is going to have a breakout season.
Wait a minute. You're also forgetting about Cedrick Wilson.
That was the next name coming out of my mouth. A man who was buried in the Dallas Cowboys receiver depth chart, which honestly, the way it's looking right now, might get a little buried in this Miami Dolphins depth chart too at the end of the day. But he's still definitely a nice piece. He had some flashes for the Cowboys when he was able to get the targets, when he was able to get the looks. I love what Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer, and the Miami Dolphins are doing with this offense. I'm just so excited after watching what Mike McDaniel did with Deebo Samuel to see what he can do with Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I mean, just the end arounds, the options, the creative just ways. Mike McDaniel has always been preaching since the day he got hired as the Dolphins. My mission is to get the ball into the hands of the players who can make something happen with the ball in their hands. And we bring in Tyreek Hill. It's just, I mean, the one thing that everyone's saying is, Tua can't throw the deep ball. Why are you going to sign a deep ball? Why are you going to trade for a deep ball specialist when Tua can't throw the deep ball? First of all, that's a lie. Tua can throw the ball deep. We've seen it before. The biggest problem is he didn't have the offensive line to be able to get him the time to throw the ball deep. We signed the best offensive lineman in free agency. We bring in another offensive lineman from the Dallas Cowboys who, other than his penalty problems, was a very solid offensive lineman. You've got, and also Tyreek Hill doesn't have to go deep to be a dominating player on the offense. You just get the ball in his hands and let him make some magic. I told you, Dylan, this is the most excited I've been as a Dolphins fan my entire life. And it's just thinking about the possibilities with the creativity that Mike McDaniel has, having an offensive minded head coach. It was blowing my mind when I saw all these people just completely writing Miami off after firing Brian Flores. And I just did not see the love for Brian Flores that everyone else in the league did. Yes, he made that defense look great. Yes, he had 3 winning seasons. Did he win a playoff game? Did he make it to the playoff games? No. Brian Flores was not as great of a head coach as everyone says he was. And honestly, it was time to help Tua. It was time for a coach like Mike McDaniel, a creative offensive guy, to be able to make this offense work. We kept the defensive coaching staff. We kept almost every single one of our defensive starters from last season, bringing Emmanuel Ogbah back on a monster deal, keeping the secondary intact, keeping the defensive line intact, re-signing Landon Roberts and Brendan Scarlett in the linebacker core. I'm sorry for rambling, but it's just everything looks like it's finally pointing in the right direction for the Miami Dolphins, and I couldn't be happier about it.
By the way, I like stats. How about these stats for you? Tua throughout the third, on average, the third quickest release last year. And you know who were 2 of the top 4 wide receivers in terms of catches within 2 seconds of the snap?
Jaylen Waddle's got to be one of them.
Yes.
Is Tyreek Hill the other one?
Yes.
It's music to my ears, Dylan. It's absolutely music to my ears.
And we all saw what McDaniel did with Deebo Samuel, with George Kittle in San Francisco. Lord knows what he's going to do with Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, because if the NFL create a 4x100 meter team, the Dolphins might have two of them.
And that doesn't even, and you're missing a guy. We're missing two people that we're not even talking about. One, speaking of speed, Raheem Mostert, I believe, clocked the fastest on-field speed of the season, either last year or the year before.
21 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about speed, we're thinking about Jaylen Waddle, you think about Tyreek Hill. We've got a running back in the backfield that's one of the fastest in the league as well. I feel bad for the defensive hamstrings that are going up against the Miami Dolphins this season. And you mentioned George Kittle, a name we haven't mentioned once on this podcast, Mike Gesicki getting the franchise tag. I mean, all the toys that Mike McDaniel has to play with this season, it should be nothing short of electric. It should be, I mean, I tell you what, this is the only one. Oh, all right. So leading where I was going with this, I'll place the floor on you, Dylan, is what does this mean for Tua Tagovailoa?
Well, I'm not sure there'd be many quarterback. I'm not sure there'd be a quarterback outside Russell Wilson facing the pressure that Tua will face this year, because the Miami Dolphins have gone all in for Tua. They've traded draft picks, signed Tyreek Hill to a fat contract, kept Mike Gesicki, added Cedrick Wilson, added running backs, added a great left tackle from the Saints. If Tua does not play well this year, he's done.
He's done. Absolutely.
Done.
I 100% agree with
and
you.
in 2-1 next year, Miami could get in the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud sweepstakes.
Absolutely. There's too much talent on this Miami Dolphins team. And all these guys, Teron Armstead, 5-year contract. Tyreek Hill is now on a 4-year contract. I mean, Gesicki signed the tag. You know, obviously he's got that. That's a 1-year option for him. Do we have enough salary cap? You know, because Tua is still on a rookie contract. Do we have enough salary cap after the season to bring Mike Gesicki back? I mean, you hope so, but with all of these 4 or 5-year deals, this is the window. This is the opportunity for the Miami Dolphins to make a run for it. And if Tua does not step up, if Tua does not utilize the weapons that Chris Grier has given him and utilize the offense that Mike McDaniel will build for him and with him in mind, you absolutely nailed it. He's done. You want your quarterback to have no excuses. He had the injury. We had a terrible offensive line. We had subpar weapons. Obviously, bringing in Jaylen Waddle was a huge help for him. But overall, subpar weapons. He's got the weapons. He's got the offensive-minded coach who's going to believe in him, who's going to build a program for him. This is the time for Tua. If he can't do it with all of these things that Chris Grier has put in his circle, you have to move on. You have to find the quarterback that can do it, because there's too much talent on this Miami Dolphins team to let it go to waste with subpar quarterback play. This is the time that Miami Dolphins take that step forward. You make the playoffs, but you don't know, with this talent on this team, playoffs is not good enough. It's crazy saying that as a Miami Dolphins fan, but Miami Dolphins need to win a playoff game. The Miami Dolphins need to get to the AFC Championship game. Maybe not this season, but within the next 3 seasons. If the Miami Dolphins are not in the AFC Championship game, there's something going wrong, because the amount of talent on this team, I honestly, in my heart of hearts, believe this is one of the most talented teams in the NFC. In the NFL.
So with all these additions to the offensive side, where would you rank Tua in the quarterback rankings?
You know, it's such a tough question, because, you know, he's shown glimpses. He's shown the promise. He's shown the ability to be able to step up and win football games for this team, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Does he have to have a perfect quarterback rating? Does he have to throw for 350 yards? Does he have to have 4 touchdowns in a game? No. Do we want him to be doing all those things? Yes, of course. But he has to win football games, and that is the one thing that Tua has really at the very end of the day, that's the one thing you can say about Tua is he has been winning football games. It hasn't been the prettiest. It hasn't been necessarily the best when it comes to stats. He's always had those one or two bad interceptions that he throws in a game. But immediately after those interceptions, he comes back and drives the Dolphins down for a touchdown almost every single time. He's just got to limit those mistakes. He's got to play smarter. And with this offense that Mike McDaniel is going to build for him, it really, I mean, where do I see him in the rankings? Honestly, Dylan, I can't even put a number on it. He could, with the additions this year, he has top 10 potential, top 8 potential, top 6 potential. But there's also the possibility that he just can't get it right. And he is the top 22 quarterback in the NFL. It's honestly a wide range. It's a little scary, but the ceiling is high and the floor is a little lower than I wish it would be.
You might think I'm crazy. Even with these moves, top Tua is no better than an average quarterback. Is Tua better than any quarterback in the AFC West right now? No. Is he better than any quarterback in the AFC North right now, assuming Deshaun Watson plays the whole year? No. Is he better than Ryan Tannehill? You would probably say yes, but probably not.
It's a toss-up.
Is he better than Matt Ryan? Probably not.
Probably
is he better
not.
than Trevor Lawrence?
Yes.
We'll see.
Yes. Right now, we're saying this is where we're talking. You've said right now. Right now.
Is he better than Kyler Murray? No. Is he better than Matt Stafford? No. Is he better than Aaron Rodgers? No. Better than Dak? No. I just named 14, 15 quarterbacks.
Yeah. And that's right now. I mean, and I will completely agree with you right now. Right now, he has done nothing other than some glimpses here and there for me to even put him in the same category as those guys. But obviously, I mean, we all know that the situation with Brian Flores was not healthy for Tua, was not in his best interest as far as the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. And that is over with now. And right now, I 100% agree with you. He's not better than the majority of those quarterbacks you just said. But right now, and in September and October and November and December, it might be a completely different story. There's no way to tell. I mean, this is the season that we find out what Tua is. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no excuses. Everything is on the line for Tua to step up and take control and show this franchise that he is the man to lead them in the future. And if he can't get it done, it's time to move on, because as Miami Dolphins fans, we've been waiting for a quarterback for long enough. We can't have another Ryan Tannehill where we give him 7 or 8 years and give him excuse after excuse. There's no excuses this year. I'm sorry. It's do or die for Tua Tagovailoa. I hope he does it. I have all the faith in the world that he will, but this is a shot. We want to move on. I mean, so we've talked about Miami a lot, but there's two, it's a trade. It's not a free agent signing. So there's always two teams that come to mind when you've got an NFL trade. I want to hear what you think this means for Kansas City. Where do they go from this? Because honestly, that AFC West has gotten better and better and better. All three other teams in the Kansas City Chiefs have completely stepped it up in free agency. What does this leave Kansas City looking at in the AFC West and in the NFL in general?
Well, for once, the Kansas City Chiefs have got a ton of draft picks. Kansas City's got 12 picks, including 2 first and 2 second rounders this year. I look at what the Kansas City Chiefs have at their disposal, very similar to Minnesota after trading Stephon Diggs a couple years ago. Because can the Chiefs find, if not a clone to Tyreek Hill, another big time wide receiver? Because remember what the Vikings did with one of their first round with that Stephon Diggs pick. They drafted Justin Jefferson, who's been okay his first couple of years.
Pretty decent.
If the Chiefs can find that Justin Jefferson or one of these late first rounders, whether it be a Deebo Samuel, a T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Kansas City's fine. Because you've got Patrick Mahomes, you got Travis Kelce, you've got Andy Reid with a much improved offensive line. The Chiefs are fine. But if the Chiefs can't find that wide receiver, I don't think the Chiefs can beat LA or Denver. Maybe Las Vegas, but I don't think the Chiefs can beat LA, Denver, or certainly Buffalo without a number one receiver.
Yeah, no, you nailed it on the head, because the big thing about the Kansas City Chiefs is they need that receiver that'll scare you. Tyreek Hill scared defenses. And what that did was that opens up the middle of the field for Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce scares defenses. If they cover the middle and take away Travis Kelce, you've got Tyreek Hill on the outside. They need a guy that can scare defenses, because without it, they're going to lock down on Travis Kelce. And then what? You're throwing the ball to Mecole Hardman, to Bryson Pringle. I mean, those guys aren't scaring defenses the way Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce do, but you need the two of them. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs were so dominant, because they've got two monsters. You can't take away both of them. You have to leave one. And that's where the Kansas City Chiefs completely tore apart teams. I mean, you saw it in the playoffs when Travis Kelce had that play up the seam to be able to get them in field goal position. I mean, it's just, you can't, when you've got two superstars like that, there's no way a defense can lock down both of them. And they need that guy to scare defenses, to be able to leave one of those guys open. And if they don't do that, like you said, if they don't get another big time receiver that will make defenses nervous, that'll make you have to think about them, I'd be worried if I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan going into this season.
Yep. So here's an interesting one. It seems like there have been more trades than ever. I mean, it feels more like NHL or the NBA with all these trades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a prominent wide receiver in the Great Northwest who just lost his quarterback. I'm just saying. Would it be crazy if the Kansas City Chiefs called John Stein and Pete Carroll and said, what do you want for DK Metcalf?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I 100% see it. You know, honestly, when that Russell Wilson trade happened, I was looking at Miami saying, why not DK Metcalf? Because he's a stud receiver. He's a receiver that scares defenses. I think the Kansas City Chiefs need to do whatever it takes to be able to get someone like DK. Or, I mean, Tyler Lockett isn't necessarily, I think, the guy you want, but you know, DK and you know, we haven't mentioned, you know, I do think one guy, the Kansas City Chiefs did bring in Juju Smith-Schuster. Obviously, Juju Smith-Schuster had hit a bit of decline over the last couple seasons, but Ben Roethlisberger had a decline over the last couple seasons. I mean, it's the last 1 or 2 seasons of his career. Obviously, he's not at the ability that he was in his heyday. Juju Smith-Schuster is a decent little slot guy. Where did Tyreek Hill play? In the slot. Patrick Mahomes can utilize Juju, and I think that Juju will have a much better season. I think he's a fantasy sleeper this year. I think he's a guy I'm targeting in mid rounds in fantasy. Obviously, it does depend if Kansas City does bring in another big name guy like DK Metcalf or any other receiver that might be looking to make a move. But you know, I do think he slipped my mind for a little bit, but I do think Juju can make some noise in that Kansas City offense.
You're only saying that because you follow Juju on TikTok.
Not quite. I just think it seems like an ideal fit. I mean, they brought in Juju before Tyreek Hill had been gone, and it's kind of seemed like an interesting move because they seem like they're almost, obviously Juju doesn't have the speed that Tyreek Hill has. He's not necessarily the downfield threat, but he's still that slot guy who can really make some plays happen across the middle or on a dig or anything like that. So now that Tyreek's Hill, I mean, you've got to think that he's going to get a lot of those receptions that would have been going to Tyreek Hill. Just a little bit of logic coming out, but you know.
And then again, I mean, with 2 first-round picks this year, the Chiefs could conceivably trade for DK Metcalf or somebody, and then still draft a wide receiver because seemingly teams are having more wide receivers. I mean, look at the Rams. They've got Cooper Kupp, sign Allen Robinson. I've got Van Jefferson and potentially Odell Beckham back in the fold. So you've got to have, and the Bucks 2 years ago with Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown when he kept his head on straight.
Yeah. Plus Gronk at the tight end position.
because this Chiefs team is not winning a Super Bowl with Travis Kelce and a bunch of Panther misfits.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he had the opportunity to try and do it with Tyreek Hill this season, and he couldn't get it done. So, I mean, lost to the Bengals, who haven't been to the playoff, who haven't won a playoff game in 31 years. So,
It either one of our lifetimes.
yeah, exactly. So, the Kansas City Chiefs, they definitely haven't gotten better in the last couple of weeks, especially since free agency started, but it's still a long offseason. We've got plenty of time until August, September when the games start rolling in. So that they've got time to make a move. They've got plenty of draft picks, like you said, to be able to make a move, or hopefully hit the draft lottery and be able to bring someone in from the college ranks. But they've got some work to do, especially with the way that the rest of the AFC West has completely rebuilt.
I mean, at this rate, Kansas City Chiefs might have more first-round picks than the rest of the division put together. Then the rest of the division has got picks in total combined.
Yeah. And down in South Beach, Chris Greer and the Miami Dolphins need to bring a lot of snacks to that draft room because there's going to be a lot of sitting and watching, I have a feeling, in this time next month. But you never know.
It'd be like the one year that like the Texans didn't pick until like the 70s because they gave all their picks to Miami.
Absolutely. And I have to give one big shout out really quick to possibly the biggest contributor to the Miami Dolphins' success. Shout out to Laramie Tunsil, because it is just that. I'll tell you what, Dylan, that gas mask bong that picture that released right before the draft was the greatest thing to happen to Miami Dolphins in the history of the franchise. I mean, the fact that he was able to fall to Miami and I believe in somewhere in the 10 to 13 range. I can't remember exactly when we drafted him. And then the amount of picks and what we've turned those picks into from that Laramie Tunsil trade has been the gift that it seemingly just keeps on giving. I mean, shout out to Laramie Tunsil. He's a secret agent, and everything that has come from that Laramie Tunsil trade has developed into what we're seeing the Miami Dolphins as today. So big shout out to Laramie Tunsil.
Well, if Miami had just been at 3 last year, you could have drafted Jamal Chase and not needed to trade 5 draft picks for Tyreek Hill. You would have gotten your own Cheetah.
You're right, but then we don't have Jaylen Waddle at the end of the day. I mean, you got to think, if we take Jamar Chase last year, we're sitting with Jamar Chase, Devontae Parker, and we're probably not going to trade for Tyreek Hill this season if that happens. So, because we get the extra first round pick, and now we're looking at a receiver room with Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I mean, the jury's out on Devontae Parker. Is he going to come back? Is he going to be healthy? I mean, are we going to trade him? I've heard rumblings that the Dolphins aren't done either. I don't know exactly how much weight there is to that, but I have heard a little bit of stuff on Twitter that the Dolphins might not necessarily be done. So I'm not sure. I've heard JC Treader get thrown around a lot in the Miami Dolphins circle, another offensive lineman, which would be, because I mean, the left side is seemingly fixed, but obviously Tua being a left-handed quarterback, the right side could use a little bit more fixing. So I definitely wouldn't mind either another center addition or a right tackle to get to bring into the mix as well. But there's still plenty of time. It can't really complain as a Dolphins fan. It's just the rumblings I've been hearing. It sounds like the Miami Dolphins might not possibly be done, but we'll have to see on that front.
Haven't you guys made enough signings on trades?
I mean, I don't know, man. Chris Greer, he can keep working as long as I mean, we released Jesse Davis today, who's the biggest bum on our offensive line last season. I mean, it's just everything is working out. I have full faith in Chris Greer. A lot of Dolphins fans are calling for his head. Those calls have definitely been deafened down to nothing because Chris Greer is having a masterclass offseason.
Yeah, so thanks for hopping on, Alex. Hopefully you Dolphins can get back to the playoffs and maybe you'll win a playoff game for the first time in forever, right?
Over 20 years, yeah.
How long has it been since Miami won its last playoff game? I think it was
2000, I'm pretty
I
sure.
think it was that AFC wildcard game against the Colts.
That sounds right. Yep, the year 2000, I nailed it. Against the Colts before losing to the Raiders. Dave Wannstedt.
Trying to think who would have been the Dolphin quarterback that day.
That was probably Jay Fiedler.
I was thinking that because Marino was gone, but
Yeah,
was
that was probably Jay Fiedler.
against some guy you might have heard of, Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
If
that
only
guy.
Mike Vanderjagt could have kicked a meaningful field goal.
Right.
Because Colt fans are probably still booing him for that shake against Pittsburgh.
It was Jay Fiedler. Lamar Smith at the running back position had a great game. OJ McDuffie.
Oh God!
Yeah. Back in the Sam Madison, Pat Surtain days, who are back as defensive coaches for the Dolphins. We brought in Wes Welker, a reunion there with Wes Welker coaching the receiver room.
You mean the Miami Dolphin old timers are going to win this year?
It's just bringing back the early magic and hoping that it could all come together. But
at this rate, you might as well bring back Jason Taylor and have him be the pass rusher coach.
Hey, he'll turn Jalen Phillips into a monster. I'm 100% on board with that. All we need is to get Zach Thomas into the Hall of Fame, and we can bring him on to coach the linebackers. We'll just have a big old reunion.
Hey, I mean, Tony Vaselli got in the Hall of Fame this year. Maybe Zach Thomas next year.
That's highway robbery, but we don't have to talk about that. But
yeah. So thanks for having on, Alex, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dylan. Fins all the way up.